Bitcoin carbon emissions are equal to 22 megatrons per year. In case this number doesn't tell you much, this is equal to about the emissions of Jordan or Sri Lanka, or in cases more familiar, to the metropolitan area of Kansas City. This amount roughly doubles if we take into account other proof-of-work cryptocurrencies. These are all estimates from this report that was published this week by a team of researchers at the Technical University of Munich and MIT. The researchers managed to measure the carbon emission of Bitcoin mining by tracking the locations of the biggest mining pools and identifying the type of equipment that they are using. This research was based on data published last year by the 3 Chinese producers of mining equipment during their IPOs. According to the study, efforts should be made to regulate the regions with the highest concentration of carbon-intensive mining. However, not everybody agrees with this research. A separate report published by blockchain industry research group CoinShare points out that growing use of renewable energy in Bitcoin mining is being underestimated. According to this report, miners are naturally drawn to the regions where there's the cheapest energy, which often happens to be renewable. These areas include nearby dams on the US Pacific Northwest, the hydrothermal plants in Iceland, or the southern Chinese province of Sichuan. We reached out to Christopher Bendixson, head of research at CoinShares, to give us his perspective on the issue. So Christopher, how serious is the impact of Bitcoin mining and global carbon emissions?
This is not where we need to direct our attention. Like, if we really want to do something about the climate, we have bigger fish to fry. First of all, we can look at the cases where it's actually wasteful, like giant militaries. I mean, a report came out yesterday that the US military uses something like 1,200 million tons of carbon emissions every year.
Do you also believe there should be regulations to limit mining activities in certain regions of the world?
On the contrary, they should do the opposite. If you put limits on miners being able to mine in the regions where the cheapest electricity exists, which is the excess hydro-dominated regions, if you limit mining in those regions, then worst case, the miners are going to move to areas where there's fossil fuels.
Can renewable energy make crypto mining a sustainable activity? And if yes, how is that possible?
Our argument here is that Bitcoin mining can actually be a net positive to this, because Bitcoin mining can come and act as a global electricity buyer of last resort, creating cornerstone demand for the cheapest renewables in the world wherever they are, because it is such a mobile industry that can move to essentially anywhere. A lot of the best solar is in the middle of the desert. A lot of the best wind is in the middle of nowhere. A lot of the best hydro is up in the mountains. Like, nobody lives there. Nobody wants to put a factory up there because you can't get your products out. You can't get your workers. Say that you want to build like a solar farm in the middle of nowhere. You have to build it to several gigawatts before it makes sense to make, like a proper long distance grid to connect it to wherever your closest demand center is. But that requires you to front load all that investment cost immediately. And that is a really, really difficult thing to do. What is much easier in terms of financing is to finance it in stages, but then you need off-takers all the way as you successfully finance the project. And this is where we think miners can play a really interesting role, because miners will come in. If you can offer electricity that's cheaper than anywhere else in the world, miners will come to you.